It is that time of the week again, the Dynasty Waiver Wire show, where we go in through some deep Dynasty Waiver Wire ads for you DGens out there, just like me, who play in those 30-man rosters and in 16, 14 team leagues. So this isn't their normal waiver wire stuff. All the guys that are being talked about for redraft, they're all on Dynasty rosters. So starting off at the quarterback position, only one quarterback today. That's, of course, Jake Haener, who's keep trade cut QB 73. Just got the update like right before I went live that Card's going to miss multiple weeks. So is it going to be Jake Haener? We'll see. He's been there for, I think this is his second year now, out of Fresno State. Was drafted in the 4th round of the 2023 draft. I kind of liked Jake Haener in college. He had one of the funnest games you'll ever watch. I think it was Fresno State versus UCLA. That game was ridiculous. Jake Haener was awesome. He probably lacks the NFL arm talent to be a consistent starting quarterback, but obviously this is under the assumption that Spencer Rattler, I'm just getting an update literally as we're talking. Saints rookie quarterback Spencer Rattler is being strongly considered to start. So Rattler does have more of an arm, but I just assume that Rattler's he's on everyone's dynasty teams, that maybe Jake Haener's out there. And even if Rattler's going to start, Jake Haener needs to be rostered in Superflex leagues because there's a good chance that, Rattler's not ready. Rattler doesn't look good. And Haener comes in and who knows what he can turn into, right? Who knows? Also, for just quarterback deep dynasty waiver wire ads, any kind of free agent quarterbacks out there right now, the one that comes to mind is like Ryan Tannehill. If Ryan Tannehill's still out there, he needs to be picked up. I'm trying to think of who else is kind of just like sitting out there. I'm trying to pull up a list right now that possible. Nate Sudfeld, CJ Beathard, Trevor Siemian, Blaine Gabbert, PJ Walker. Yeah, I don't even know if all those guys are free agents. Ryan Tannehill is the one that comes to mind. Like, he also should be rostered. Into the running backs, starting off with Blake Watson, keep trade cuts RB101. Currently the RB3 for the Broncos behind Javonte and Julio McLaughlin. Obviously, Tyler Bidet went to the IR. Audric Estime's been on the IR for a couple of weeks. So Blake Watson, I think it's kind of telling that they've kept him on the active roster all year, even when they had McLaughlin, Javonte, Audric Estime healthy, stuff like that. So if anything were to happen to either McLaughlin or Javonte, then we could see an expanded workload for Mr. Blake Watson here. Jeremy McNichols, I mentioned him last week. I don't know if this is going to be sustainable. Jeremy McNichols has been pretty good, like, to start in fantasy the last 2 weeks. I don't know how many people are actually starting him, but then again, we're talking about deep dynasty plays here. But he has 3 touchdowns over the last 2 weeks. He looks good running the ball, averaging over 7 yards a carry while rushing the ball the last 2 weeks. And this Washington offense is just rolling. So any type of blowout games, potentially, like, we could see McNichols get some cleanup duty. I wouldn't be surprised there. So, it's a deep stash. So, and if anything were to happen to Eckler, then we could see McNichols kind of go back into that role and kind of fill his role. Deneric Prince, he's just a consistent option that I'm putting out here. He's on the Dolphins practice squad. Dolphins running backs seem to continue to get hurt. So, Jalen Wright looks good, but Achane has the concussion. Mostert came back from the injury. Jeff Wilson keeps getting hurt. So just a guy. They did sign Salvin Ahmed as well, I believe. It's more of a deep stash here. Hassan Haskins, I don't know why his font's in green, but Hassan Haskins is also someone, every RB that's on the Chargers, I'm going to want to roster because Hassan Haskins is currently the RB3. So if something were to happen to Gus Edwards or J.K. Dobbins, Hassan Haskins is going to see a role here, right? It's going to see a role. It's someone that I really need to be rostering, the RB3 on a team that potentially wants to run the ball a lot. Daria Gumbawale, I don't know what's going on with Mixon. The reports around him, I think they came out today, don't sound very good. Change of tone on Mixon is concerning, is a report from 4 hours ago. So they're kind of basically just saying like this is worse than what they thought. Obviously, they didn't put the guy on IR. What are we going on week 3 now where he's going to be missing? It's concerning to see for sure. But Dario Gumbawale might be the guy over Cam Akers. And I mentioned Gumbawale as kind of like maybe he could take a shot. He had 15 carries last week and 6 catches. And even the week before when he only had 2 carries, he still had 4 catches. So I think at worst in PPR, you can start this guy and you might be able to start him in all formats. Played 70% of the snaps, looked decent, at least catching the ball, 6 for 57. Gumbawale might be the guy while Mixon's out, and it doesn't sound good for Mixon. That's for sure. Does not sound good for Mixon at the moment. So, Sione Vaki, I keep bringing him up. Him and Craig Reynolds, by the way. Craig Reynolds is the RB3 for the Lions. Sione Vaki, the rookie, is the RB4. Both those guys need to be rostered. They're one of those teams, right? The Lions are one of those teams. You want to roster every single running back that's on that team. So Sione Vaki is someone that I'm going to be looking to add to my team for sure. He's a rookie, so he always has that intrigue. And again, Craig Reynolds as well. Craig Reynolds is probably even more widely available in dynasty leagues. I'd be adding him as well as the RB3 for the Lions. Tyler Goodson, I assume Jonathan Taylor's going to miss more time. Usually when you have a high ankle sprain, you either miss no games or 3 games. It's like a weird thing where you miss, like, you're good enough to go the next week or you're going to miss 2 to 3 games. So Tyler Goodson, along with Trey Sermon, could see an expanded role. We saw 5 carries and 3 catches from Goodson. That's not terrible in these deeper dynasty leagues. Like if I can get 8 touches and 3 of them are catches, you could be looking at, like, again, if I'm at the point where I'm starting Tyler Goodson and he gives me 60 total yards with 3 catches, I am ecstatic, right? Like you're obviously starting him because you're either in pretty deep or you play in some deep ass leagues. So Tyler Goodson definitely needs to be rostered. Cody Schrader, I brought him up last week. He's not ranked. He's a rookie. Was undrafted free agent to the 49ers. Now he's on the Rams. He's on the Rams active roster. So that intrigues me. Rams are another one of those teams. I probably want all of the running backs on the Rams just because whoever's the RB1 on that team is going to be really damn good. Obviously, he has several injuries to get to that, but who knows? He could work his way up, become the RB3. Wouldn't surprise me. Also, Patrick Taylor, another team, the 49ers. I want to roster all the running backs on the 49ers. I keep bringing this up week after week. I'm going to continue to bring this up as long as Patrick Taylor is on the active roster, which he is. Jordan Mason's getting a huge workload. Obviously, we know with McCaffrey and him being injured, but Jordan Mason continues to touch the ball at a crazy amount. Can he hold up? We'll see. If he goes down, it's Garendo and then it's Patrick Taylor. Those are the 2 that are left. And we've seen the 49ers where, we think it's going to be this guy, but it's not. It's actually another guy. What if, everyone thinks it's going to be Isaac Garendo if Mason gets hurt? It could be Patrick Taylor. Aaron Shamplin, I also brought him up last week. He is with Cordero Patterson and Jalen Warren out. Aaron Shamplin is the kind of the next guy up that they're calling up from the practice squad behind Najee Harris. Now, he's only playing about 20% of the snaps. That being said, how much longer can you just keep handing Najee Harris the ball and he just does nothing with it? Like absolutely nothing with it. The guy's had 21, 18, 23, 16, and 16 touches, Najee Harris. He's literally had over 16 or more touches every week this year, including 2 weeks of over 20 touches. And he still doesn't have a game where he has over 90 total yards. He has 1 game over 80 total yards, Najee Harris, with all those touches. How much longer can you just keep handing him the ball and get 15 carries for 40 yards? Like, if Warren's out, they desperately need Warren to come back. But if Warren misses more time, Cordell Patterson misses more time, maybe they decide to give someone like Aaron Shamplin a little bit more of a run and be like, hey, can you do better? Because it's not happening with Najee. It's literally not happening. So The guy is just not very good. So. And then two more running backs here. We got Julius Chestnut. Just want to say he is the RB3 for the Titans. Most people don't realize that Julius Chestnut is a person, but he's the RB3 for the Titans. They use two running backs very heavily. Now, if one of those guys go down, do they just give it all to either Pollard or Spears? I don't know. But the point is the Titans kind of show what they want to be. They ran the ball over. I know they were on a bye this last week, but their last game in week 4, I think they had Tony Pollard had, I think, over 15 carries. I think he had 20 carries. Let me just double check. 22 carries for Tony Pollard. And Tajay Spears himself had 15 carries. They're kind of showing you what they want to be. They want to be a run-heavy team. And so Tajay Spears, if one of them goes down, Spears or Pollard, like who knows? Julius Chestnut could potentially be seeing 12-plus touches in a game. And then Myles Gaskin, Aaron Jones has a hip injury. They're going on a bye this week, so we might not hear anything from Aaron Jones and whether or not he's, how injured he is. But just know they only have they basically have Aaron Jones and Ty Chandler on the active roster, and then they bring up Myles Gaskin for game day. So he's kind of the next in line. So wide receivers to finish out. No tight ends for you this week. Cedric Tillman, I think a lot of people did roster him when he was getting a little bit of hype in the preseason. But Cedric Tillman, if Jerry Jeudy gets, if Amari Cooper gets traded, well, who's the next up in line behind those guys? It's probably going to be Cedric Tillman, who, second-year guy, third, fourth round pick, kind of liked him coming out of college a little bit more so than a guy like Jalen Hyatt. Cedric Tillman, that offense is just terrible, though. It's tough to be excited about him. Someone I am slightly intrigued about is Jalen Coker. Jalen Coker, and hopefully I'm saying that right, I assume I am, is a rookie. He played at Holy Cross. I believe he was an undrafted free agent. He came up and basically he got his first game, like his playing time, like his first real playing time. He played 53% of the snaps last week, with Xavier Legette getting hurt. I think had something to do with it. And Coker came up and he got 4 targets for 68 yards. That's impressive for like a rookie to come up, draw 4 targets, catch all of them, and get 70 yards. There could be something here, right? There could be something here. And if Legette misses time, it's going to open up the door for Coker. And I'm definitely adding Coker on a lot of my deeper fantasy leagues or dynasty leagues. DJ Turner for the Las Vegas Raiders. DJ Turner is basically replacing Devontae Adams. He's kind of the next up in line. You have Trey Tucker, you have Jacoby Myers, and then it's DJ Turner, who did nothing. He had 4 targets, but only 1 catch, 12 yards. He also had a carry. He's had a carry in back-to-back games. So they obviously like that aspect of his game, DJ Turner. He's been in the league for a few years on the Raiders. I don't think he was drafted at all, but he's a smaller guy, a little bit faster potentially. But he played in 75% of the snaps last week. So for you best ball players, deep dynasty players, DJ Turner needs to potentially be rostered, because if he's going to play 75% of the snaps, he's going to have plays here and there where he does something. So Malik Heath, between him and Bo Melton, he's actually more available according to Keep Trade Cut. He's wide receiver 152, whereas Bo Melton's like in the lower 100s. That being said, Malik Heath actually played more than Bo Melton last week. Bo Melton, I believe, played like 58% of the snaps, and Malik Heath played 76% of the snaps. So if Dobbs is going to continue to be out, I don't know what's going on there, and Christian Watson's going to continue to be out, it's kind of Dontavian Wicks, and then, obviously Jaden Reed, and then Malik Heath. Malik Heath is going to play a decent amount. So he actually might have played – he played basically the same amount of snaps as Jaden Reed, which is kind of crazy to think about. So Malik Heath, I think, if those guys are going to continue to miss time, deserves to be picked up. Mason Tipton, I've been bringing him up the last few weeks. He did have that bad drop. Should have caught that ball. That was a really nice pass from Derek Carr. But Mason Tipton's a rookie wide receiver that's coming in and taking over that wide receiver 3 role. So I don't expect anything from Mason Tipton. By the way, I played college at Yale. I don't expect anything from Mason Tipton in terms of fantasy production, but he's out there. And for an undrafted, I believe he was undrafted, for an undrafted rookie to come in within the first few weeks and kind of establish himself as that like wide receiver 3 or even wide receiver 4, shows you that he has some talent and he could develop and he could become something in the long run. So Mason Tipton, he's a speedster, can get down the field. So he could catch a bomb here and there if you do play best ball. So definitely a guy I'm going to be adding. Mecole Hardman, brought him up last week, could be out there on a lot of teams, but surprisingly, Mecole Hardman last week's game only played, or yesterday's game, only played in 10% of the snaps. He had 4 targets for 4 catches in those 10% of the snaps. What if they use him a little bit more? He could be also a nice little best ball play. You never know. Just a couple more guys here for you. Kevontae Turpin needs to be rostered. This is a guy that definitely needs to be rostered. He's not just a return guy. He does do that. So if you get any type of return yards, that's nice because he does punts and kicks at times. But Kevontae Turpin in last week's game, he had, because of the Brandon Cooks injury, it's obviously Jalen Tolbert and Kevontae Turpin are rising up. Kevontae Turpin played only 30% of the snaps. He had 5 targets, 4 catches, and 50 yards. Like, what if he plays 40% of the snaps, 45%? He's kind of the next guy up, in my opinion. You can also talk about other Cowboys guys that maybe you want to, I don't know how long this Brandon Cooks injury is going to be, but other Cowboys guys that could be out there, Jalen Brooks and Ryan Flournoy could also be something. But Kevontae Turpin's the guy I'm definitely going to be targeting if he's out there on waiver wires. And then last one here is Sterling Shepard, good old Sterling Shepard, with both Jalen McMillan and Trey Palmer hurt. And I think they both missed the game, if I remember correctly. Sterling Shepard played 70% of the snaps last week, only drew 2 targets, but Buccaneers are a good offense. They're going to potentially be scoring a decent amount of points. If Sterling Shepard's going to be out there, just like McMillan and Trey Palmer, he always has a chance to catch a touchdown. So that is it for you guys. Try to keep it under 20 minutes for you, but that is our Dynasty waiver wire heading into week 6. Help us get to 700 subscribers. We are about 60 away, trying to get there before the end of the month. So like and subscribe, and I will catch you guys all in the next video.